All right, everybody. Thanks for joining in. I hope you had a great weekend. Yesterday we got a Jets win, believe it or not. Let's talk about that game and what it looks like moving forward and what I think, of course, my own opinion, what I think. But first, let's talk about the game. The Jets beat the Jaguars yesterday 32-25 in a battle of 2, 3, and 10 teams. The Jets now improved themselves to 4-10. Better than 3-11, I guess. But anyway, so Aaron Rodgers had a pretty good day yesterday. Again, it's 2 games in a row. He played pretty well against 2 sorry teams. Basically, Dolphins defense is nothing. Jaguars are terrible. So, but hey, listen, he had a good game. He flexed his muscles and showed what he's got against the Jags. He went 16 out of 30 for 289 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Unfortunately, he was also the leading rusher on the team with 45 yards scrambling. That's not a good sign, but hey, he led the team in rushing too, so good for him. Now the best part of yesterday's game to me, in my opinion, was Davante Adams. Now, I haven't been a big fan since he came to the Jets because he hasn't done anything. He hasn't made any kind of significant improvement on the team at all, which is what he was supposed to do, but he just hasn't. But yesterday he did have a good day, had a great day, actually. Had 198 yards receiving on only nine receptions. And one of those receptions was a career-long 71-yard touchdown pass, of course, from Rodgers. And also, I thought it was cool he got his 100th career touchdown catch yesterday. Now, I thought it was really neat too that the announcers, they actually showed a clip of Davante Adams' very first touchdown catch in the NFL, and that came from Aaron Rodgers when they were both Green Bay Packers. So to see him get his 100th catch in his career from Aaron Rodgers on just a different team, I thought it was kind of cool to show that. It was really neat and good for Davante. I'm glad to see he had a big game. Now, on the other hand, Mac Jones, for the Jags, he went 31 out of 46 for 294 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. I think he had 2 touchdowns and 2 picks. I can't remember now. But anyway, and one of his picks was to Sauce Gardner. Sauce finally got an interception. It looked like a miscommunication between Jones and his wide receiver. The receiver pulled up on a long pass. Jones threw it longer over his head, right into Sauce's hands, and he got his pick. I think that was the Jets' 3rd team interception of the year or something like that. And as far as their rushing goes, Travis Etienne led the Jags with 65 yards on 14 carries. I thought they kind of gave up on the run a little bit more. I think he probably could have hit 100 yards if they kept on feeding them the ball, but they threw the ball a ton. So, so they kind of disregarded the run after that, and it ended up being kind of a passing shootout kind of thing. And the Jets ended up winning the game, even though I was kind of torn between, do they really need to win this game? But if you look at it in the long term, they're going to pick 4th or 5th anyway. They're not going to get a quarterback. And I don't think any of the quarterbacks coming out of college this year are really game changers. They're not going to change any team. So I don't know what the Jets are going to do. So whether they're picking 4th, 5th, or 6th, I guess it really doesn't make a difference. But what I am starting to see now a lot already is the Jet fans already screaming for, we got to bring Aaron Rodgers back for one more year. We got to run this back one more time. And I think, me personally, the problem I have with that, and I don't agree with that one bit. I'm going to tell you right off the bat. Now, I don't agree with that. The problem with that is this. I could understand bringing Rodgers back next year for one more shot at this if the Jets were in the AFC Championship game, if they won the division, if they won a playoff game, if they even made the playoffs. I could understand that argument. Bring him back for one more year and let's see if we can't get over the hump and win it all. But the problem is they're not. They're not in the playoffs. This is 14 years in a row they're not in the playoffs. And they were supposed to be with Aaron Rodgers. There was no question in anybody's mind they were going to be. They didn't win the division. They don't even have a winning record now, going on 9 years running. Not even a winning record. So why bring him back for one more shot at what? 8 wins, 9 wins maybe? And that's not even the point. The point is what I made in my last video about his contract and how this affects the team moving forward. Now I'm going to go over it again one more time. So hopefully at least somebody else out there can see my point of why this experiment with Rodgers didn't work and you can't go forward with it because of the salary, the cost it's going to be to the organization in salary. Now, I'm going to go over this again really quickly as I possibly can. if Rodgers does not play for the Jets in 2025, if he's cut or retires, the Jets have a $49 million dead cap charge. Now, this is an accumulation of prorated bonuses from the past years. Now, that's a huge cap hit. It's more than double his cap charge if he's on the roster in 2025, which would be only $23.5 million. But the Jets can take the $45 million and spread it over 2 years. If they cut him before June 1st, that would be $14 million in 2025 and $35 million in 2026. To me, that makes more sense for like long-term planning for the organization. And it'll create some cap flexibility moving forward in 2026. Now, if Rodgers returns in 2025, even though the cap charge is $23.5 million, which is very manageable to today's standards, they'd have to pay him. Now listen to this. If he returns, $35 million option bonus by the first regular season game and an additional $2.5 million base salary. That equals $61 million. They have to pay him if he comes back into 2026. Now compare that to the $49 million if you just take the cap hit, cut him next year, get beat for it, and just lick your wounds and take your losses and move on. That's $61 million total going into 2026, whether you cut him next year or not. Now, the downside is if he does come back for that 1 year, the dead charge balloons to $63 million in 2026, which I said in my last video is because of those option bonuses. So you're talking about $61 or $63 million into 2026. It's just to me crazy. And that's got to do with some voided years because he's really signed through like 2029 or something. So you're talking about 12 or 13 million more dollars. I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're taking a $60 million cap hit in 1 year for a guy who you may even cut or get rid of, or he may not even play, this is just a big chunk to me. This is what this is the point to me that I'm trying to make. It's not so much that we don't want to bring him back and, maybe they'll win 9 games next year. Even if they do bring him back and they do win 8, 9, even 10 games next year, that the cap hit after that year, next year, is going to be gigantic. And he's not going to play much longer. He's already in that mode now where I don't know if I want to come back next year or not. I got to think about it, which absolutely drives me nuts because he's going to hold the whole team, the whole NFL on pins and needles next year, waiting to see what he's going to do or not. It's Aaron Rodgers' experiment didn't work. Take the $49 million loss next year and you move on. It doesn't matter because this team is not going to go to the playoffs next year, whether he's on it or not. They're just not. Maybe they're going to win 4 or 5 more games. The AFC is stacked. You got teams now that are 8-5 fighting for a wild card. These teams may end up 9, 10-5. The Jets I don't think they're going to be that next year. It's just my opinion. So there's going to be guys leaving the team. They got more work to do on the offensive line. The defense is a shell of what it used to be. And not to mention one other important fact, you got a whole new regime coming in next year. You got a whole new coaching staff. I think they should get rid of everybody, including the guy that fills up the Gatorade jug. They should get rid of everybody. And I'm sure a new coach is going to want to do that. He's going to want a new GM. They're going to want their own guys, their own players, their own schemes in there. They don't want to be tied to Aaron Rodgers through 2027 with a $60 million cap hit. Just take the Band-Aid. It didn't work. The experiment didn't work. Get rid of it. Do it now. And there's nothing wrong with saying, listen, we tried. It just didn't work. And move forward. Or else you're going to take cap hits in the next couple of years. They're going to be gigantic. And that's just all there is to it. So just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think below. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. And hit that like button if you enjoyed my video. And as always, please subscribe to my channel. It helps me out a great deal. I hope you guys all have a good day, and I'll be talking to you very soon. Bye now.